I really enjoyed this film. I'm so excited for everyone to see it. And just to kind of start off, I feel like has such a powerful message, especially for LGBTQ youth, and it's Pride Month. So what do you hope that people, especially in that community, will take away from seeing a character like this?
I mean, I hope that people feel really seen by it. I know I felt really seen by it. All my friends that I took with me to watch it, we all sat there and we were like, man, if we had this when we were younger, I think it would have, we would have found a lot of solace in it and maybe would have, become more comfortable with ourselves at even a younger age. And I think this story really represents anyone that's ever felt other, anyone that's just wanted to be themselves without society telling them who they are or villainizing them for being anything other than what society expects, in all shapes and forms and life, So this is a project that I just feel is so special. And yeah, I hope that everyone really enjoys it. And I really hope the community really enjoys it too.
Absolutely. And you said, what it would mean if you had this character growing up, but what kind of impact did she have on you in your current stage of life?
I mean, a huge impact. I started recording this in 2019, and I think with how much Nimona is unabashedly herself and what she stands for is something that she doesn't shy away from her truth and being exactly who she wants to be and exactly how she wants to identify, which is as Nimona. And that's something that I really, really respected. And I definitely think that I grew with her over, these several years in different ways. And I really love that.
And I just want to ask, I know there's this really powerful message of just accepting people and, finding where you belong. And so do you have any advice for someone who feels like they've been hiding in the shadows and doesn't really know where they fit in?
Well, I think, first and foremost, like you're loved, you're supported. There's a huge community out there of people that love you for exactly who you are. And like, don't be afraid to find that, find your chosen family and that, you're beautiful exactly as you are. And I hope that they feel that, I think that's the biggest thing.
And Nimona has so many amazing quotes throughout this movie. Can you even pick out a favorite? Do you have one?
I think my favorite is towards the end when he looks at her and he just says, I see you. And I think that's something that is so beautiful. And it just encapsulates everything the movie stands for.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you for chatting with me today. I have to say, when I saw Nimona, I really enjoyed the film, but I was especially excited to see your name attached to it. And I wanted to ask, what made you want to jump onto the acting train, especially voice acting?
I have a huge animation fan. I've probably seen everything animated, and I just love the medium. And I was always interested in voice acting. It was something that I knew would be a path for me. But the serendipity of how I came to be auditioned and offered the role was a chance of a lifetime. So I'm so honored to have been a part of this project.
And besides your character's amazing name and amazing hair, what did you love about playing him?
I loved that the film version of Ambrosius, because I know a lot of people are familiar with the graphic novel as well. He's clearly torn between duty and love, but he's also like clearly so deeply in love with Ballister. Every moment of conflict, every moment of strife he experiences is because he misses his boyfriend. And I think that's so great. And that was something that, for me as a performer was great to be able to be more tender and authentic in this idea of just like pure gay romance. And that was something that I was really excited to bring to screen.
Absolutely. And yeah, like there's so much going on in this film. There's shapeshifting and rhinoceros, but there's also, this beautiful love story. And was that a big part of you accepting this role, was having that queer representation?
Absolutely. And as someone who was a fan of ND's prior to my casting, I loved She-Ra. I had read Nimona. Knew already that this was a film that was being sourced from something that was made by one of us. And I think that's something that's core. It's so important that that it is infused with the DNA of queerness in a way that feels like it's a necessary perspective to show. And I just knew it was in the right hands. And then meeting the directors and the team and seeing what the animators did, everyone I think was following the same true north, which was letting that inherent queerness shine.
And I love the messages that are just so powerful in this story. And so I wanted to ask you if you had any advice for someone who has been hiding in the shadows and feels like they don't have a place where they belong. What would you tell them?
Oof, I would say first and foremost, safety and security is most important, especially for queer people. So you have to be bold, but be bold within the limitations that you have. We all, very much like Nimona, feel like we're limited within these systems that might be oppressing us. And the most you can do is make those bold moments of protest, however small, however big. Each one is important, whether it's in the privacy of your own bedroom, saying something to yourself that affirms your identity, trying on a different shirt, doing something with your hair, making a new friend that's outside of these boundaries. Whatever boundary you're pushing, it's all valid. Just make sure you're safe first. That's always what I tell people.
Yes, I love that. Well, congratulations on the film. I loved it. And thank you for chatting with me today.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed this film. I went in not really knowing what to expect, so I took away a lot from it. It was really moving. And I just wanted to start, how did you find this role, or did this role find you? Because I really feel like it was a perfect match for you.
Oh, thank you so much. I was very lucky this role found me. Troy and Nick are amazing directors. Hit me up during COVID and they said, listen, this is our vision. This is the world. I wasn't familiar with the original book. And so just getting to know that incredible imaginative world that ND has created, getting to know Ballister, getting to see what Chloe has done with Nimona, it's been such a gift. It's definitely been a blessing to be a part of this amazing picture.
And why do you think that Nimona is such a character that we really need in our world today?
She's just so fun and so funny and so mischievous and cool. I really think Chloe's done something remarkable here. And I don't know, I feel like, there's a really strong message here for all of us about being brave enough to show the world who we really are. Not letting other people's opinion of us define who we think we are. And, Nimona embodies all of those messages whilst kind of communicating them in a lot of mayhem and humor and fun.
Absolutely. And you touched on this a little bit, but I wanted to talk a little further, the message of, discovering yourself, but also just like acceptance of other people and their differences. And so I wanted to ask you if you had any advice for someone who might be hiding in the shadows and feels like they don't have a place where they belong. What would you say to them?
Well, I would say to anyone who feels like they don't belong, I would say that, first of all, it's a really common feeling. A lot of people feel that way. And that doesn't mean that your feeling isn't true. It doesn't mean that you actually do belong. You may not have found your place yet, but just rest assured that if you can find your place in here, if you can find that love and acceptance of yourself in here, then finding a place of belonging out there won't matter as much. And actually sometimes we get it the wrong way around, but that's something that I wish I was told, growing up.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that's something that, Nimona really found herself and picked up on more quickly than a lot of us can. And just speaking of her and her power in this film, she has so many amazing quotes. Do you have a favorite one from her?
That guy peed in his armor. That guy peed in his armor. And that's one that comes to mind. There's so many.
That's a great one, though.
Many is the one-liners in this film are out of control. Like Nick, Troy, Chloe, between them, dream team of just like improv, badass hilarity. Like, it's a genuinely hilarious film, and Nimona is honestly like one of my favorite animated characters. And I love animation. I've seen a lot of those movies and shows, and I think they've just killed it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree. And I love that quote. I feel like it comes at just like such a funny time in the film. So congratulations and thank you for chatting with me today.
Thank you for the support and love.
I really, really enjoyed this film. It's so sweet and has such a powerful message behind it. But I wanted to ask each of you, what about this book and these characters really made you think, yes, I have to be a part of this?
Oh man, I mean, it's just Nimona, right? Like if you've read the book, if you see the movie, you're gonna fall in love with this character because this character she can do anything, right? She can transform into anything, but she's this mischievous ball of punk energy. And at the core of all this mischief is somebody who just feels misunderstood. And it's something that is extremely universal that we can all relate to. But Nimona has also made this incredible connection with the LGBTQ plus community. And that was something that was very important for us to get right, to honor that connection and to just tell that story in a big cinematic way.
I love that Nimona is this sort of self-assured, unapologetic character when she comes in to the graphic novel, but also the movie. Like you don't often see stories about teenage young women who come in knowing who they are. So those journeys are always like, who am I? And they're, and Nimona just comes in and says, this is who I am, like it or not. And in being that and embracing that and colliding with all the other characters around her, like Ballister and Goldmoyne, actually improves their lives. At first it doesn't seem like it, but they become better people for, that association. So I think it was a really interesting way to tell a story. And these characters are, I think, super memorable and iconic.
Absolutely. And I love what you've said about Nimona. I mean, just how powerful her character really is. So I wanted to ask, how excited are you to see people react? And what do you hope young LGBTQ people can take away from seeing a movie like this?
Oh, it's so exciting for us. There's so many fans of the graphic novel because, ND Stevenson just created this amazing, book and this art. So it's exciting for us to have the movie start to get out there and have people react to the movie. Some people who react to the movie and go like, oh, I need to go read that book, and it's nice to have that sort of exist in that world. And I think it's, Riz Ahmed, who plays Ballister. The one reason we cast him is he speaks very much about, diversity and inclusion in media. It's a huge reason why we reached out to him and asked if he'd like to join us on this project. And I think that's so important for people from different communities and different backgrounds to be able to see themselves reflected in media. It makes people feel like they're seen, like they're not alone. And I think if the rest of the viewing audience can sort of take that message that Nick was talking about, that idea of just seeing people, getting to know them. I think that would be an amazing thing for us, for the audience to walk away with.
Absolutely. And I really feel like this cast was amazingly picked. Each of them have such a big presence that they bring to this film. And just to wrap up, Nimona has so many quotes that she says that are so wonderful. Do you have a favorite from the film?
I think one of my favorites is something, 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 we win. Because man, does that explain life, right? It's like
absolutely.
There's a lot lots being thrown at me. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to figure it out, but I know we will, right? And I think that's such a fun little small but powerful message.
Yeah, it was. I agree. Mine too. And it's funny because when we were crafting that with ND, it really was just we needed to just throw something out as she's running in this comedic sort of crazy moment. And over the course of it, it really has taken on a resonance that was a lot bigger than we had anticipated. But I agree. And we screened the film in France, and the French translation of that was blah, 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 victoire, which sounds so much more fancy. So I kind of still love it, but maybe in the French.
It works in all languages. It's universal.
It's universal.
Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on the film. It was wonderful chatting with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's so wonderful to meet you. How are you feeling today?
So good. So good. This has been so much fun. Just getting to see people respond to the film. It's awesome.
I really enjoyed it. I have to say, I really went in not knowing what to expect. So I was just hit with a lot of feelings right off the bat. So I think people are going to really, really enjoy it. And just to kind of start, I wanted to ask what your inspiration for Nimona was and how this brainstorming process came to be for this character.
Nimona was like a character that just started like popping up in the pages of my sketchbook. And she was just like the character that I needed at that time. She was, obviously really powerful, could turn into anything she wanted to be. I've always loved shapeshifters. I wanted to do that. I still do. And she was also just like really assured of herself in a way that I just like wasn't at that time. And so she became this character that was really just like, I found her very healing to explore because she had all these feelings, and it was just like she had all these rough edges, and that was like all of it was like who she was. And so yeah, that was really where the character started, and then the rest of the comic rose up around her, and the rest is history.
And could you just kind of dive deeper into this idea of shapeshifting? Because I love that she doesn't take one form. She's like, I'm never a normal person. I'm not a girl. Like, I'm just me. And I love that aspect. And that really plays into the shapeshifting that you're speaking of. So can you kind of just elaborate on why you wanted to bring that into a story?
I think that I always kind of felt like I don't know, I guess a disconnect from my body that like makes a little bit more sense now that I've, grown up and transitioned and I'm exploring my gender. But it was something that I just always felt like I was just something more than my body. And I still think that. I think everyone is. We're all so much more than the way we present ourselves to the world. And shapeshifters make that literal. And Nimona, especially, she also makes like her emotions, she feels them so strongly, but she can actually express them. Like if she's feeling angry, she can turn into like these, like a fire breathing dragon. Like if she's feeling like whatever she's feeling, she has the ability to make it real. And so I think that was really, what my inspiration was for her, just because like I always found those ideas so exciting, and I wanted to see more of that. Like I wanted more shapeshifter stories that got into that.
And I also know that this is a long time coming for you. I mean, you've been writing this book and now working on this film. So how does it feel to finally be releasing it and to be surrounded by people who really supported and helped you to bring this together?
It's so cool. I mean, like this was a character that like came out of a lot of pain. And that is reflected in her. Like she has pain, she has darkness. She feels alone and like unloved. And to see so many people see themselves in Nimona and love her and accept her in some way, I feel like it is reaching back to who I was then, and just offering comfort in this way, in that love and acceptance. And it's like, it's just been really cool seeing everyone, like, I don't know, like love her so much, and knowing that she's about to go out into the world and she's really taken on a life of her own. And I just really hope that everyone who watches the movie feels that love and acceptance.
Absolutely. And I wanted to just ask, do you have a favorite quote from Nimona? Because she has some amazing one-liners and some deep parts. So do you have a favorite?
I think something we win has become a little bit of a mantra for the crew. Just because that's so much of like what the journey to making this movie felt like, which was just like, there's a lot of something of just like, what's going to happen? Is this going to work out? We have no idea. And then, here it comes. The movie's real. It's going out into the world. So that one has kind of taken on a new meaning, I think, over the years.
I love that. I spoke with the directors and they said the same thing. And it really just reminds me of that, like, you survive 100% of your bad days kind of vibe. And it really, it's so, so sweet.
Yeah. We're going to get it tattooed later. Totally happy.
I love that. As you should. Well, thank you so much. Congratulations on the film.
Thank you so
and thanks
much.
for
Good talking
chatting.
to you.